Anyone there? Can you hear me?
Hey, how you doing, Brian?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
cool. Yeah, Joe's just helping another student at the moment, but yeah, we're all here.
all right, cool. So let me sign into Flow. Right. So today it's going to be more of what we did yesterday. Go over stage one and stage two. Really want to make sure everybody gets this.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's see here.
Is that the student homework on the back?
Yeah, this is the one-on-one student. He's working on his characters, and then so I'm helping him develop his manga character.
Like develop the shape and stuff like that? Is that
Yeah, develop not just the shape language, but he has a story. He just needs to uh, basically do a lot of variations of his characters or his main characters, or because he has two main characters that he's working on. And at the moment, he was too concerned with the technical stuff. So in the beginning, I told him you need to play around with the shapes a little bit more because the first drawing that you do is probably going to be like a throwaway, just to get something on paper, and then you know as you can see, as you start doing more iterations, it starts changing more and more, and you start exaggerating more and more. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm really liking the one on the right. Like I can see how the shape kind of evolved to that. That's so cool.
yeah, so I was telling him that basically the way and when you do a concept design or a character design, the first design is not going to be your best. It's just like I said before, you need to spit something out,
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense.
and then you'll do many variations of it. And I usually try to talk, have them do like a simple front view because if you can do a simple front view, if you can figure everything out, it's easier to start rotating it. It's much more difficult if you're trying to, draw like the character in a uh, in a very complex pose, and then you don't really know what kind of stuff they have. So like if you don't like shoulder armor, if you don't know what it looks like in a simple front view, like how you're going to be designing it in a front view, then having armor like in a three-quarter view with the character raising his arms and stuff like that, that's just really hard because you don't even know what it looks like yet.
Yeah, it makes sense. Do you think like say yesterday you were kind of encouraging us to kind of give just doing personal stuff a shot and stuff like that. Do you think like because I mean I started doing that. I just started painting stuff and try and like do stuff without lines and stuff to see how it goes and stuff. Do you think I should do this more like instead of doing it in a pose, just keep it simple and try and play with the shape flat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good idea to do this because I mean, my thing is if you can, have because even a front view, there are many factors you can play with. Like if in a simple front view, if you can make it look interesting, then it's already off to a good start. Second, you can also start thinking about this is what I like to do. I like to think about neutral faces and neutral stances, meaning, what does my character look like when they just stand?
Yeah, makes
Like what
sense.
is
Yeah.
what is their posture? Um, you know, I'm just playing around with proportions for I don't know. I just started sketching and then turned into Ninja Turtle this morning. But the thing is, like, if I look at a character or a person, they don't have to stand completely straight like this, right? They don't always have like good posture.
Wait, hang on. Yeah, it makes sense. Wait, you can hear me, right, Brian? Or you
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
okay, good.
So not everybody, every character or every person you draw is going to have a, you know, good posture. You can think about they're so, like I said, I like to think about what they look like in a neutral.
Yeah, cool.
So maybe this person, they have weak shoulders. They kind of hunch over a little bit. They don't have.
I think with this one, it's
How does their arms hang down? So their arms might look a little bit longer.
Oh no.
Just because now they're kind of hunching over. Just little things like that. It plays a.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna do that for my character. I'm gonna give that a shot. I mean, I did do I didn't do a perfect front view. I did like a mannequin, and then I blocked it in clothing and stuff. Okay, well, he's gone now. Hey Caitlin, just to make sure you can hear me fine, right?
yeah. So you want this
Cool. Yeah, Joe's is off helping a student, so he'll be in once the class starts.
because the one that you're showing was
Awesome.
discussed this last time. This one here. And then coming up. Coming over this up. So that represents Liverpool. Liverpool. Okay. Think around this.
Do you want what you want?
I'm just gonna grab your
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, get whatever. Yeah. Brian just disconnected, so he's gonna come back in. Yeah. Oh, no, fuck this guy. Fuck Joe. I'm not gonna give him a class. Yeah. Wait, I think you got blue tack instead. Need a book.
So that line is essentially that line there, right? So that's just showing the circumference for that. So if you see how so that line looks like that. See how there's no
Which one? The inner one or the outside?
the one that's filled with faces. So
Oh, yeah, cool. Okay.
so yeah, see how it's facing you and there's this whole part, whole circumference line around it here that you can support it in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's essentially this. So this circle here, the one that it's added. That's
Hey, Brian.
the outline.
Hey,
You're
sorry,
back. Yeah, no
cut
no
out for a
worries.
second.
Yeah, no worries, man.
My fault, because I'm looking 3 times.
So what I'm doing right now is before class, I'm just messing around with the shapes.
Or maybe I forgot.
Yeah, sweet.
I just want
Hey,
to.
Joe Ninja Turtle.
I saw a very angular style yesterday, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I just wanted to play around with it.
Yeah, sick. Hang on, give me a moment. I'm just gonna turn the lights off and everything. Oh, actually no, I'll leave it on. Joe's doing a thing.
Like I said, I don't know if it works or not. I'm just playing around with it first.
Yeah, I think it's something really cool. I mean, yeah.
So essentially,
But how do you know how wide it is?
well, you want just the regular circle, you want it to be a perfect circle. So like, you know how I dragged it and you sort of,
Uh,
yes, you want like a
Collarbone.
stretching from the top to bottom. If that's
so what's the inside is the thing? This the inside is the help. It's like a
Inside.
support.
So you have like 2 minutes.
All these kind of small things.
So
it's
those
not
are showing you the center point. Each side view, right? Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah, so each of these lines are essentially
There's his
a line
chins.
or it's in kind of a circle drawn along like one.
But why is
One direction.
why is it talking to this thing? you know, from here to here, why is it turning?
Yeah, I'm not sure why that one is small.
Really? Okay.
Do you want me to? I'll talk to her and then yeah, that's fine.
Let him know that I'm really liking this.
Yeah. Okay. No, as in like, do you want me to take over?
Yeah, I'll just finish this one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We're
Cool.
We're just talking through something.
Yeah. No worries then.
So we have like a minute.
Yeah, you see how?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll probably start in like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and yeah.
And it's not all right there. I'm not sure why.
I haven't decided what I want to do there.
Which one?
Oh, no, I don't want to get my mouse.
Oh, just,
Yeah, very.
look, that one. You can.
You might want to rewatch his videos, but from what I'm seeing,
You're still there, right? Yeah, you are still there. Okay. Good.
Yes. So I'll be covered with shadow.
It's, you know, the big square thing, you know, because the side one and the front and the back, right? So this thing is, what's the name? Does it have a name? For the plan ground?
I don't know what the actual name is. I'm told people have names for it. I just think of it as planes. Yeah. So you see how I think of the same thing? Yeah, that's one plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one plane. Yeah. So.
Ah, I think it was-
Okay. I'll probably kick them out, and then we'll start. Oh yeah, because or actually, I guess it's not. Or yeah, actually that's not. But keep it down. Yeah. All right, cool. We're all ready to start.
Ready to start? Okay, cool. So let me just draw this foot. It's like this, whatever.
Thanks, Ray.
So hope everybody's having a good week. What we're gonna do today is we're gonna do. I just want to go over the homework a little bit more because I noticed last week on the homework there's a lot of issues with stage 1 and stage 2, and it's really important that we get that down. Let me connect here because it's going to make it really difficult to start adding a chest, connecting the legs, you know, especially when we go over basic anatomy. Like if that's not there, you know, it kind of just starts to fall apart right away. And if it's not working at that very early stage, it gets progressively worse. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And does that make sense to everyone else as well? So Brian just says like basically just get stage 1 and 2 correct because that's really damn important and stuff. And yeah, like yeah.
For example, if we don't communicate ahead correctly,
Sweet.
then
Yeah, good.
we're already starting off with like a bad way of like an incorrect way of communicating movement because the head is going to initiate the movement. So we have a character looking in a direction, the head's not complete, the head's not worked out. All right, then we move on to the body, and already the head's not worked out. We move on to the body. Now the body's like very loose. Body's not determined. There's simple issues like central line, stuff like that. That's very, very easy. We can work on that in the beginning. PB, hush. And that's not working. And then we move on to the legs. And then when it comes time for form, we really haven't worked out anything. We really haven't drawn anything. And then we try to build form on top of that. So it's already ambiguous, like an ambiguous shape, ambiguous, just the whole image is already starting off ambiguous. So now we're trying to build form on top of that. That doesn't work. And then we start going to lighting because the form's not clear and the shape was not clear. Now the form's not clear. Now the lighting doesn't make sense. And then in order for us to like fix it, we have to just basically start over. Does that make sense? Like it's not, it's just better that we just take the time at the beginning and just build a good shape and have start off like having the image look really well or work well with no details, but with minimal details. Does that make sense? Cool.
Sweet, cool.
So probably like yesterday, I'll do a quick demo of, just if you like how this applies, like especially later. Like for example, this is a demo from the head painting class. There's no drawing in this painting. We don't draw. They're being taught to just start with shapes. So they don't actually draw in the beginning. They just take values and they start throwing down values and value shapes. In order to do that, we need to be very comfortable with the line work, like understanding like what is a shape, how to connect things. Because once again, it just always goes back to something very basic. All the issues that people have in art or in design, it's never going to be something very complex. It's always going to come down to something really simple that just needed to be worked out at the start. Or, just like one little thing, but it makes all the difference. So like here, one of the big issues is the head's not 100% worked out. And there's not a clear center line. So because the center line is not clear, it's hard. I mean, the concepts are simple, but there's a lot of stuff that you need to keep in mind. So it's very easy to forget. So I don't mind repeating it over and over and over again. So just keep that in mind. This stuff is hard. Even though the concept is very easy, execution is another thing. So don't feel bad if every week I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again. I told the class yesterday that like simple ideas is something that I think you will never kind of really master. Like every time, I mean, you'll like 5-6 years from now, you're pretty good. You'll find out, you still screwed up on something really simple. So it's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, these are really tough ideas. I mean, tough to execute, I should say.
Yeah. I know what you mean because I've been following the homework as well, and it's like, this is like a big part of the battle, right? Like, cause it's like if this is right, then the others become easier to add on and stuff. Whereas like, say if this stage is wrong, it's like you said, right? Like there's like a domino effects and everyone just like everything else just goes pear-shaped. It goes even worse because like your proportion in your first like your first few proportions wrong, but then you take that measurement and just everything just fucks up.
Yeah, so it's worth like it's worth the time to do this stuff. Just spend the time to do it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I think that's good. And also to all the guys who are wondering why I'm here, like I'm Duncan. I mean you guys probably know. But like yeah, Joe's just helping another student, and I'm just filling in for now. Oh no, Brian's gone.
We appreciate you, Duncan. We appreciate you.
No problem. Yeah. Well, I mean it's good. Well, I mean not good that you're appreciating me, but I don't know. Like I do what I need to do. You there, Brian? I have no idea why that news came up. I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
There you go.
Sweet, cool.
Okay. So what the heck is this? Anyway, so like this one, there's no head. So we wanted to take the time and work out stage one, which is the head. even if you're drawing in a very stylized way, we still need to work out the head. Just remember, the looser we keep a drawing, that'll depend on our skill level, like where we're at. But the looser, if we're not used to tightening stuff up, the looser we leave something, that's something that needs to be resolved later. And usually that's not a good idea. So if we can resolve something like that now, it's I don't know, I think it's a good idea to do that. Like a lot of the proportion issues I see, like with the long poses, like there are a lot of really cool quick pose artists out there, but then they skip ahead a lot. So when they do a long pose, that what's it called? Their lack of knowledge for head, it just shows right through. Because when they do longer studies, there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
When you do a character design, and you need to finish the head, and it's like a view you're not used to, it should go right away.
Yeah, I know. I thought.
think it's worth
Yeah.
the time. Yeah. I think it's worth the effort to just get good at it. Like the body is not as difficult. I learned that. Sadly, I learned that later on in my. So I was always impressed with the quick poses and all the value design, and I found out that that's actually pretty easy.
Right.
It's this part that's freaking hard, and a lot of people avoid it. And so that's why I admire artists like Steve and like Kevin and like Mark, because they do spend time on this area.
Mm.
Okay, so I can draw the neck. The more you do this, the less you're actually going to have to do it later.
Yes, this one's.
More comfortably. There's a set of vertebrae. And figure out the overlap at the back of the neck. There's the shoulders. Especially if you guys decide to draw like chibi or some kind of Lucian style where they don't really, where everything's more flat. It's just a really simplified version of what we're doing right now.
Hang on, Brian. Could you repeat that last sentence? Because you literally just chopped out. Like I think it was like your connection or something. Like, but I didn't catch your last sentence.
Okay, I was just saying, if you even when you draw like later, when you decide to draw like a lot more stylized, like chibi, or if you design a character that's more like Looney Tunes or Cartoon Network style, or like Samurai Jack or something, it's just going to be a very, very simplified version of this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Let's make sure the measurement is good. So we draw the shoulders so we can easily build the bow tie shape. And then once we build the bow tie shape, we'll have a better idea of how to fit in our fish, which is going to be our rib cage or pelvis shape. Cut this in half, gives us the pelvis.
Oh wait, I muted this bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm in now, Brian. How you going?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's good. We were just talking the intimacies of circles and spheres and stuff. It was good.
Nice. Gotta learn how to do all that stuff.
What's that? You don't know how to do it, or you do?
No, I said it's good to learn how to do that stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah, definitely. It's vital.
Kinda- You have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, Simon's making sure all the students coming through are getting all that stuff sorted now. So that's good.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of that stuff is just it's motor skills. It just takes repetition.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I told our publisher yesterday or this week, man, after this class, I got like 5-hour crit coming up. I got like
Damn.
I got 60 pieces of homework.
Oh, snap, dude. That's
Yeah.
oof.
But I was telling our publisher that, because we run classes with them as well. And they're in charge of advertisement, and they're like, yeah, some students are intimidated by some of the stuff in the class. And I told them, yeah, it's because we're not BSing them. We're not telling them like, if you do this in 4 months, you'll be a concept artist, or 6 months, you'll be a concept artist. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a lot of those
And
what are they? The YouTuber artists that are like, oh, these three tips will get you good, and it's like, nah, you just have to do the same stuff over and over and over. It's just the fundamentals. You do it until you're sick of it, and then you keep going, and that'll make you good, pretty much.
yeah, it'll make you good. But then I don't know. I watch a lot of. I used to watch a lot of the YouTube stuff. I just want to see like what's out there. Maybe someone says something that I didn't think about, and most of it's not very good.
Nah,
Oh,
not
yeah,
really.
you do this, and you're like, dude. And then you watch like a Steve Houston thing. He's just talking about basics, and then like Steve Houston is really good. So even his basic I think the better the artist is, the more they talk about basics. They don't really like go into anything complex because it's not complex. They do what a lot with just basic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of people think like, I mean, it's like the magic trick. If you show somebody a magic trick and you do it really well, and you tell them, oh yeah, all I did was, I had a point behind my finger and I just flipped it out. It's like, oh yeah, okay, but what's the real secret? It's like, no, that is the secret. That is the trick. It's just because of your execution was so well done that you watch someone like Steve Houston. Steve Houston's like, oh, it's just a ball in the box. It's like, oh yeah, okay, but like, what's the real secret? It's like, no, it's a ball in the box. Literally, that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, it's just he really knows how to put that ball in the box because he's done it that many times.
Yeah. So what I was telling
Ooh.
with the homework is this week I'm just gonna do a lot of
Getting a bit
curves,
lag.
because we need to get stage 1 and 2. We need to be very comfortable with that so we can start to add more details later on. Like if this part is not working, then we're already off to a bad start. So at least if we get this, right? What I like about Eric is from here, I can turn my study into whatever I want. So right now I just blocked out all this stuff. So let's say I want to draw a skeleton inside. Like here, this is the drawing I'm working off of. So it's like a simple back view. I can now do this because everything's already set up. So here's my skull. There's a little knob that's behind. There's the base of the skull. We have the 7th vertebrae over here. We have the spine. There's the sacrum. We have the first rib.
Hey, that thing down the bottom, what do you call it, sacrum? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What measurement is that? Like, how exactly do you calculate exactly where you put that?
It's about half. So I just cut it in half like this. It's
Oh,
actually
okay.
longer. It's actually a lot longer. The point that we draw is the point that is created by your butt muscle, your gluteus maximus. It cuts over,
Oh, yep, right on. Yep, cool.
but it's actually longer.
But you don't see that on the body. You have to like tear all the flesh off to see the other bit, yeah?
Yeah, because
Yep.
your sacrum. Here we have this. Pops up. Wait, 1, 2, yeah, 3. It's missing one plane here. It's basically our tailbone. Comes down like this. It's a bit longer. We have that kind of a butterfly shape. Or that samurai helmet that wraps over to the front. And then what's going to happen here is we're going to get our gluteus maximus, our butt muscles. They're going to cut over and cover up, this much of the pelvis or the back. You have your gluteus medius, wraps over. And we need to add more for the fat. This is fat. Usually when you look in anatomy books, they're drawing the gluteus muscle without the fat.
Okay, that's why it always looks so weird. Yeah, cool.
It goes into your iliotibial band. This will help connect your legs, or it helps lift your legs. Kind of looks like a claw machine or a claw. There's a quarter plane here. So yeah, that's basically what's going on there. Yeah, anyway, back to this. It's like, because I spent the time and built a lot of this, I can actually draw a skeleton inside if I'm trying to do like a hardcore anatomy study. Not hardcore, but I'm trying to build this out. So about a third. Bottom third is where we'll start getting the 12th rib. Twelfth rib floats, but I usually just connect it to the my rib cage form. This makes it easier. I know that there's a hollow in our rib cage. That hollow exists because we have these muscles that fit here. It's called fit inside. It's called the sacrospinalis. it helps us to straighten out our back. And then here's my scapula. So I know where the pit of the neck is. Here's my collarbone going across. Drops down for the scapula. You get the triangle part, the top portion of my scapula. There's the acromion process. So little shelf right here. We get our humerus. This is a greater tubercle. There's the clavicle. Does that make sense? Like this is how, if we draw stage 1, stage 2, it makes it very easy to start building on top of that. This is how I learned my my forms.
Yeah, man, this all tracks. This is good.
Yeah, because when I would just draw a skeleton and I would try to build everything on top, it doesn't look right. My limbs would always be skinny, or at least the width, everything just looked kind of weird. So I just started drawing Eric, and then I just put everything inside. And because everything's already connected, it made things a lot easier. So like, I know I don't know, IDK muscle, the trapezius. Let's do this real quick. There's a hollow. The hollow is there because muscles need areas to collapse. 1/3 of the scapula right here is reserved for the trapezius. It's like a kite, the fibers. We have the sternocleidomastoideus muscle. It attaches from that knob, goes to the front. So let's separate these. There's a tendon that cuts across. There's a muscle called the infraspinatus muscle, helps stabilize our shoulder. And it groups with teres minor. So they look like one muscle together. There's actually two. Then we have the teres major, which goes underneath, giving us a little bit of a hollow. Teres minor, teres major. All of this gets covered up by our deltoid. 2/3 of our scapula in the back is for the deltoid, which is our shoulder muscle. Get a little bump here. If we see 2 bumps here, it's because the deltoid is mimicking the ball of the humerus. All that gets covered up. The 3 heads of the deltoid will have the tendons. We have the serratus anterior muscle. Basically, that's the muscle that helps slide our scapula around our rib cage. Connects to about the 9th rib. all of this gets covered up by our latissimus muscle, that muscle we've been drawing, or the Cobra Kai muscle. It's also like a kind of like a kite or a blanket. It's all tendon. Underneath, we have these muscles called the rhomboids. You'll see them when the scapula pops up. Then we have our external oblique, which is our spare tire muscle. Starts from the back, just like the sternocleidomastoideus, and it goes to the front. They serve the same functions. Does that make sense? This is like just quick anatomy breakdown, but it makes it very easy, or not easy, but it's more manageable because we drew an Eric underneath.
Yeah, so Eric is more or less the anatomical fundamentals, like we were talking about before with the circles and the cylinders and stuff. This is like it's the most important thing to get right before you start going on to the more advanced stuff, pretty much.
Yeah, well, it's not just like an anatomical thing. It's just it helps you with just making sure everything's connected, and it's also, like I said before, it's your internal ruler. Like when you want to learn a different style or paint in a different style, it's hard to if you have a style already established or some, like I said, some kind of ruler or something to gauge it by. It's very easy. You can look at, for example, the student today that I was doing one-on-one with. It's like anime. What anime proportions do you like? And then so we're looking at this sculpture or this figure, and turns out that he likes this proportion. So what we do is we measure it. It's like it turns out the body is about 3 heads. So we start with 3 head proportion, and then we start basing that off of. He already knows or has a base Eric that has it memorized. So we're just seeing how is this anime character or the character that he's designing, how is it going to be different from Eric? Does that make sense? But if you manage, or if you start learning a different style, it's like, well, in this style, the characters are, 3.5 heads tall, like in terms of their total height, or their body is always about 4 heads. It doesn't matter what the head shape is; it always ends up being about 4.5 or something like this. So it makes it very easy to adapt. And especially if you know all the plane, like a lot of the planes of the head, when you look at other styles, you can see like what planes they're actually using, what planes they're not using. So it all comes down to something very basic. I'll do a demo where we do, like I said, for yesterday's class, I did a shape painting where you don't draw. This is from yesterday. This is for yesterday's class. You just start drawing shapes. But in order to do that, I'm guessing most of the people in this class, or just most people in general, there's 2 types of artists. One is naturally good at line, meaning you don't learn anything. You understand things with line. And then there's the other kind where they don't learn anything out of the box. They just understand tone and value and shapes really well. Like if there's a hand, they separate the hand from the wall or whatever it is through line, and the other one could separate the hand from the wall through value. It's very rare you find someone who's good at both. Because if you want to do I think it's good to be able to do both. Like it just works to your benefit. If you want to do the shape painting, which or drawing with shapes, which I think is really good for damage control. And the more confidence you have for damage control, the easier I think drawing gets, because you're like, I can fix that. It's not a big problem. It always comes down to something basic. But in order to paint that way, the stuff here, that can't be holding you back. If you're working on a character, or you're working on, like concept art, this basic stuff, that can't be holding you back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So remember stage 1, stage 2. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And next week we'll start going over arms. That one. But yeah, shape painting is fun. Here. Oops. Again. And if it's possible, you guys should critique each other's work. Ah, I did it wrong. This is not the way to do it. Let's just open it. Because I think it helps for you guys to build each other, build your eye. And second, it kind of puts you on point or kind of keeps you honest. So like at school, like the Dallas, my teacher used to say like, during the breaks, walk around and see what everybody else is doing. It's not to be like, haha, I'm better than this person. It's just more to learn. Like if someone's doing something better than you, you can steal it right away. Like, oh, cool, they're doing this, or, you can ask them. But if you can fix their drawing, because every time you walk around and look at someone else's drawing, you're actually problem solving. Like, oh, they screwed up here. How would I fix that? And especially if they make obvious mistakes, like, oh, their head's really small, it puts you on point. Or you got to be honest with yourself. Hey, do I do that too? So if you guys can, look at each other's work and critique it. Yeah, I think that's good. Like you guys should start critiquing each other's stuff. Just remember, it's okay to say, hey, this doesn't work or whatever. Sure, there's always a way of saying it. It's as long as, like Dallas said, if you just tell someone, he said it's okay to tell someone they suck, but you have to tell them why it sucks and how they can fix it, or maybe make a suggestion. If you just tell them they suck, you're an asshole. But yeah, you'll improve much faster that way, because especially like when you guys are all doing reference drawings, all of you will probably have access to the same reference. So most likely you'll have drawn it, your peers will have drawn it too. So it's kind of like if you guys draw it together, to say you drew it 3 people, it's like you drew it 4 times. You have your drawing and then the 3 other people, because you can look at their drawing and critique it. Does that make sense? Cool. So here, it's missing a rib cage. Make sure you blend your shapes. And remember, your rib cage doesn't bend like this. If there's a twist in the rib cage, remember the rib cage is a solid object. So once you find out which direction the rib cage is facing, if it helps, draw a center line all the way down to the bottom. I mean, down to that front plane. So you can make sure that it is actually a box. So you're twisting it. I'm going to twist it the other way. The first center line that you draw, or that we draw, is just, like I said, our best guess. We just want it somewhere in the ballpark. And we will modify it after. But this is where the twist is going to happen. But knowing what we know about the rib cage, the twist, where the line starts to twist is after the sternum. So here's our sternum. Here's the belly, where the stomach will insert into the pelvis. We can start twisting it from here.
And both the end of the sternum and the insertion point are easy to remember because they're just like halfway down their perspective bone structures.
Yeah. And this will kind of guarantee that, you know, your rib cage stays a box. What we don't want is like here, it looks like the rib cage is concave or it's bending. It can't do that. And we have to remember that the rib cage is bilateral, especially like in a front view. We're not going to have the rib cage be a shape like this on one side and then a shape like that on the other with the center line, you know, curving. It's not a flexible a form. Where it is flexible is here. This part is solid. This part's flexible. I mean, no, solid. This part's flexible. And think of it like armor. This is solid. I'll render it like that. So real quick. You have the bottom here, pelvis. We can just treat it that way. Brush, just turn this off. So this is a solid object. It's like metal. Let's get our highlights. Or this is a rigid object. And then this portion right here, the midsection, that's soft. It's like rubber or like marshmallows. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's good.
So remember, it's a solid form, it's a flexible, and it's solid. Basically, we're just cutting into it like this. So here, just make sure you blend your shapes. So don't move on to the arms and the legs until until stage 1 and stage 2 are resolved. Just makes things easier. So the heads look. Let's do like this one where the head's looking down. 3/4 looking down. So, all right. 1 radius down. There's the bottom of the chin. There's some things you need to know about the head looking down and a head looking up in a 3/4 view. If you draw a head looking down in a, just as a general rule, I extend the radius, 1 radius down to the chin. The reason is because here's our eye.
I think we've lagged out, Brian.
Oh, I said there's some rules that we need to keep in mind when we draw a side view. I mean, a 3/4 looking down or a 3/4 looking up about the center line and the chin line. So here's our eye when we're looking at something. So we're looking at a side view of a figure, right? Bottom of the chin, right? Here's our ear. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's tracking.
All right, cool. So when we draw a 3/4, a head and a 3/4 view, when they're looking down, what's happening is the head's going to look like it's getting bigger, or even in a front view. And the reason is because we can still see the chin, but now we're starting to see the top of the head. Does that make sense? That's why I dropped 1 radius down for the chin. And when I pull the back of the skull out, I want to make sure that my center line is obtuse, meaning greater than 90 degrees. And the reason for that is because if we draw a box in perspective, so here's our box. And we draw our center line. You see the center line is greater than 90 degrees. Does that make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When we draw a head 3/4 or 3/4 looking up, it's the opposite. The angle is going to be acute, I mean less than 90 degrees. If you draw the head, so if, pretend we can see the center line at the top. This is a glass box. There's the center, is less than 90 degrees. And obtuse.
We're finally getting to use all that angles knowledge and stuff we were learning in high school. It's good stuff. Acute and obtuse. That's throwing me back.
Yeah, I know. It's cool. It's like, what? Math?
Sadly, the only way I can remember the obtuse and acute thing is from Family Guy, where he's like, Peter's just sitting there going acute and obtuse.
Yeah, whatever helps, man.
It's just so sad that it's Family Guy.
That's all right. Whatever helps you remember it, I was talking, my friend's talking about, like, it's funny that parents in our day, we're like, oh, you play fighting games and stuff like that. You're stupid, and you waste a lot of time on that. And then when you listen to pro fighters, the pro fighting game guys, I'm not EA Sports, esports guys like Daigo Umahara. I'm sure you guys all know him. The guy who has the famous third strike parry. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you guys know
yeah.
him. But they're not stupid. A lot of these guys, they're not like dumb. They actually use things like math and stuff like this. They just maybe in school they don't care, so they don't think about it. But they count frames. They think about distance. They think of it's like chess for them. You know what I mean? But that helps them to learn math or math or whatever it is. They're using math for that. Like it's like a real thing for them. I think that's like the problem. You actually don't need to use it, so you don't care. Does that make sense? Like, did any of you guys learn proofs in school? Yeah, like I never use proofs. I don't see any practical in my life. I don't see any practical use for that, or even the Pythagorean theorem: a squared plus b squared equals c squared. There is not at no point do I walk around a yard or something and I think, okay, well, a, or I forget, a c is this, right? So I'm like thinking, okay, well, if this is 6 meters and this is 6 meters, I mean, no, 7 meters or something, it'll take me, I don't know, I have to go this many meters. I'm not thinking that. I can run that fast.
I mean, give it time. We might find an artistic application, just not yet.
It's not yet. Yeah, I know. But the thing is, the problem, the main difference between art and math when it comes to stuff like this is math is cool because it has a definite solution. Like there's a definite answer. You know what I mean? Like we need to solve the how fast we need to go from A to B, and there's a definite answer. But in art, it's not like that. There is no like definite answer, because you get an answer, you have an answer, but then that might not be the best answer. Somebody else might come up with a better answer. And yeah, that's the tricky thing about art or in design. But anyway, so acute and obtuse. So head down, obtuse. Head up, acute. Then we can draw the neck. The neck is looking down, or it's pointing down like this. And I think there was some confusion. When I measure the pit of the neck, I don't use this circle anymore. The reason why is because if I use that circle, the neck is going to look like it's really long, because now the head is pointing down or tilting down. And because the head is tilting down, the distance between the chin and the pit of the neck will get closer. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So what I do is I take this circle and I measure from up here, from the top of the head. That gives me a good kind of ballpark estimate. If the head is tilting even more, if you want it to feel like, hey, this person's head is, they're looking down even more, then just bring the pit of the neck up higher. Does that make sense? I think yesterday I used the Dragon Ball, when they're charging at you.
Oh yeah, yep.
So for when you get a character like that, we don't actually have to draw the pit of the neck. So because there's their nose, they're charging at us. So the pit of the neck will be behind, or will be shorter. Yeah. There's their chin. It'll be under the chin, and there's the body. There's the feet. Arms are doing. Just like this. Just got the arms. They're just flying, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Right. So there's a neck, there's a twist. And because one side of the hip is higher, I know there has to be some kind of squashing and some kind of pinching, even if it's subtle. Because the figure, it counterbalances. I just don't know how much yet. So I'll measure the units down. 2, 3. Measure again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, looks like it's in about the right spot. I just draw the shoulders because it helps me to get the bow tie shape. Let's move this over. So it looks like the hip is facing a little bit more to the left. The body's a little bit short. It's a little bit short. All right. So left side is hip is higher. So I'll just take the center line. This is the center. Just move it over just a little bit. Figure out which way the rib cage is facing. So the rib cage looks like it's pretty much close to a front view. It looks like my rib cage is slightly at this angle. Now I can draw my fish shape to fit inside. Or if it's on one side, draw through, find the other. Here's my sternum, and then I can twist my center line now. There's the half. There's my stomach insertion. And there's my twist. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm just making sure that my head and neck flow into the rib cage. And once I figure all this out, it makes it easier to attach the arms and legs, especially when we start learning anatomy. And I really mean it. All the problems you will face in art will be something really simple. It's never going to be something like super complex. By the time you get to quote unquote complex stuff, it'll be just more about, you're having fun. I think that's when a lot of what you'll get won't be like real crits, in terms of this is wrong or this is wrong. It'll be a lot more it'll be more like suggestions. Maybe if you do this, it'll make the character feel stronger. Maybe if you do this, or does that make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So remember, focus on stage 1, stage 2. Make sure the proportions are working. Remember, it's 3 units. So it's 3 units of this. So let's see, 1. Squeezing my fingers. Somewhere here. Oh, come on, man. So it's like almost half a circle too long. really after you draw down to the hip, just lean back or zoom out to look at the figure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and they can just copy the units worth and then just like drop it down and check it that way if they really need to.
Yeah, you can do it that way. And then there's also a little bit of eyeballing that needs to happen. Let's see, like for example, if you draw someone sitting down, did this yesterday. Let's see. I draw. And they have good posture when they sit, or they're sitting up straight. Chances are their torso is going to be the same as if they're standing. Right, so one circle down. That will be maybe somewhere here. That 3 units. 1, 2, 3. There's a crotch. So if they're standing, right? Just take this measurement, drop it. Ankle is probably somewhere here, so that's probably I can probably have the feet here. That's fine. Maybe a little bit longer. Anyway, so here's a person standing. If they're sitting, because we're not, just having them sit in a good posture, all we have to do is move the legs. The knees are over here. And there's their shin bone. Does that make sense?
Yep. Hmm.
But if the person is, hunching over, then do you think they're going to be the 3 units?
Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, so we can eyeball. And this is where, we can use screw ups to our advantage. So if we make the body shorter, let's say this person is like, leaning forward and staring at us. It works to our advantage because it makes the person feel like they're hunched over even more. There's the shoulders. Body's leaning away. And since his legs are at 90 degrees, the hips are going to be just kind of flatten out. And there's his knees. One here, one here. It's crotch. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. That's cool.
So it's just a simple way to eyeball. So usually like, if the person's bending, I'll still measure the proper units down like they're standing and I'll just shorten it a little bit. And then I'll use the reference points that I can see on the reference to kind of correct the distance as I go. But we still need to make sure stage 1 and stage 2, they're connecting properly. There's a fish blend. Just really take your time here. Like I don't care if you don't move forward until this works. I'd rather that you spend time and get that correct. Because like I said, if when we start moving into connecting the legs very simply and the arms, adding arm anatomy or simple stuff, or like the chest and everything, if we don't get this part correct, it's really difficult to connect everything or make it look natural. Let's do the next one. So same thing here. See that it's missing center lines in a lot of areas, or the center lines are just like kind of going off in their own direction. We want to be careful and not do that, because later on when we start, let's say you're drawing for yourself and you're plotting stomach muscles, you're plotting all those things, and you want to create a twist or you want to create a belly or something. If our center lines aren't clear, it makes it really difficult. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So like here, if we're trying to, let's say you're drawing like an overweight character, or just like, let's say the body. So you can still start with the Eric. Find the center, 3/4 view looking up, all right. Let's say they're looking up enough so that we have to shorten the chin. So this is 1 radius, just bring it up just a little bit. Half radius down. Remember, the center line needs to be acute. That's the jawline. Top of the head, bottom of the chin. Cut that in half. There's the eye line. So we're going to turn this into a heavier set character. Want to make sure that there's an equal amount of space on the left side and the right side. So the corner will be somewhere here. There's the ear. There's my mask shape. Cheekbone. Draw the skull. Remember, rub, rub. Here's my mask. We get the neck. Where let's say I'm drawing a heavier set person, I just need to know where the pit of the neck is. When you draw somebody who's heavier set, I think it's even more important to figure out where the jaws and their chins are, because sometimes they don't have them, or it's not so obvious. But even though it's not so obvious, the person still has them. So this slowly turns into a heavier set person. Looking at their silhouette, let's say they have more of a cheek. So I still mark off their chin, so I know where their original chin is. And then they have maybe a smooth transition down to the pit of the neck. We might not see the jaw, but we might see a little bit of a half tone, or we need to figure out what the hint is. Usually there's more of a pinch, or there'll be a lot more interesting shapes going on. There's the shoulder. The body, this is where we really need to pay attention to the center line. So say there's a subtle twist. Still count down the units. 1, 2, 3. Let's measure again. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, looks pretty close. So say the body is slightly to the left, and we're looking at a front view of the head. I know the ends, so I can draw my bow tie shape. I'll draw the fish on the inside.
How do you measure the ends again for the is that the clavicle? Was that one
That's one
circle on
circle.
either side?
One circle. Yeah, and then you add a little bit more for the chromium process.
Oh, okay, yep, cool.
So there's our twist. Now that I have a center line, I can figure out how to design this person's belly. So maybe they get wider and they have a spare tire. Men get fat here and here. Women get fat here. And how much does this person's stomach, what's it called? Hang over. Let's say it hangs over quite a bit. Down to here, it'll still mimic the shape of the pelvis. And then we can figure out with the center line how much the stomach comes out. And I'm going to use the belly button to my advantage. I'm going to curl the belly button to show a twist. And their person's man boobs will hang over. Maybe they have extra more rolls. Does that make sense?
Yep.
There's the nipples. So it's crucial to nail down our stage 1 and stage 2. Make sure our center line is communicating or is all connected. And be careful of the proportions because a lot of these, the heads are too small. Does that make sense? Cool. Yeah, I spent a lot of time on stage 1 and stage 2. I know it sucks in the beginning to be just, to be drawing that slope, but it is important. Just think of it like the better you get at this, the more comfortable we get. We actually don't have to think about it later on. It's kind of automatic. It just automatically just start connecting things. And then, like I said, when you design a character, you don't want like that to be in the back of your mind. But I'm not kind of afraid to paint the hands, or I don't know what to do with the hands. I don't know how to paint a face, or I don't know how to draw a face. Does that make sense? When we're designing a character, we want to be in a position where we can just design, and like that stuff is just, I don't know, not an afterthought, but it's already like
It's like you're so fluent in it, isn't it?
Yeah, because I feel like I don't know, I've been calling it, like, I'm trying to think about what to call it, but it's like procrastination drawing. That's what it is. It's like when we design, sometimes it's like, oh, sometimes, yeah, you really are lost in an area. Like, oh, I really want to figure this out before moving on. But most of the time, I feel like if you're honest, thinking about myself, I'm honest about it. It's just I'm avoiding going to like, I didn't figure out the legs yet. So I'm kind of avoiding it. I'm trying to maybe hope that if I finish this thing, the drawing will look good and I don't have to draw the legs, or the legs will just kind of fall into place. But that's not going to happen. Just resolve the legs and everything, and then you can just go in and just noodle in smaller areas, like all you want. Like once I realized shapes are subjective, meaning, so when I worked on MMORPGs, I did this all the time. Like, I need to paint, let's say, 6 different types of pauldrons that day, right? Or 6 different types of armor. Rather than painting 6 different, because armor, like in terms of like your pauldron, which is your shoulder piece, or like your chest piece, it can only be a certain shape because it has to conform to what's underneath. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's not like I can just create anything I want. So at least that as a base. So let's say and the hands are somewhat indicated. So
we lost you for a sec there, Brian. What were you saying? I think you were talking about pauldrons and stuff being only being able to be one shape because they have to form the stuff, and then we lost you after that.
Okay. And the faces had already been worked out. So I already had painted a face. So that's already done. Quick face, it's already painted. The hands are indicated enough so that whoever looks at it can tell they're holding a sword, or holding or they have the hand on their waist. It's well enough. And then so, the body shape is there. So there are only so many base pauldron shapes I can come up with very quickly. So like, I'm looking at a reference, and I have the style guide, but let's say we're looking at a pauldron and it's shaped like this. This part wraps over your shoulder, and then it kind of blends off like that. So that's the primary shape, like what's underneath. Now, I'll lock that in. And then I'll kind of just quickly add a little bit of tone to it. So at this point, I'm already thinking about, you know, how shiny is it going to be? Maybe it's not that that shiny. It's not like a brand new armor. But I just wanted to read as metal. Maybe there's some light reflecting from the sky. It's a little bit brighter here. Could probably go a little bit darker for the, yeah, that's better. There's some light reflecting off of the armor itself. So you're going to get a little bit of light here. Anyway, so there's my form. Does that make sense? This is like the first thing I'll paint.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I'll do a variant right away. So I get a different one. So it's like, okay, well, how am I going to segment this? So let's say we have a nail or a rivet here. It breaks off. I should have worked this out, this end out, or whatever. So let's say it wraps around like this. And then there's rivets. So the rivets will get maybe a little bit of highlight. A little bit of rust. It's not clean. And then maybe this this particular armor has like some gold paint or something on it. All right, let's create a multiply layer. So there's one armor variant. One. So done. Next one. Next variant. I'll look at it and say, all right, cool. Well, maybe this armor has more guards on it. There's a piece over here. That'll get a highlight. And the one from before had segments like this. Maybe this one has like a ribbing. And maybe get smaller and smaller, like the segments. Maybe this one, it rounds off. and maybe it has some kind of insignia or something on it, and the pieces will still have rivets because it's metal armor. That's how everything's connected. Maybe some highlights. Rivet here. It's where they're connecting to the maybe there's belt loops or belt. Well, they'll slide in a leather, like a belt underneath, and it'll connect to the armor using belts. Back to the chest plate using some belts. Maybe it has, little. I don't know. Never mind. I'm not going to do that. It might take a while to figure that out. And maybe this armor underneath has some fur. Just pick a brush. Very cool. That'd work. But you see, like, it didn't take me that long, and I have two variants of armor already, all based off of one shape. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good.
It's a very quick way to work.
How do we get onto this topic anyway? I can't even
And that's what I
remember.
learned, that shapes are relative. They don't really. Just talking about the importance of base shapes.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
right.
really good.
Yeah, that's right. Nice.
So when you draw, like, I'll do a figure. I'll do a quick painting of a character at the end. There's not really concept art hacks. It's just because I really mean this. Do not try to save your concept by rendering. Like, make sure it looks good, like with minimal amounts of detail, because then it's just, you can always make it more complex. That's why I have a lot of respect for animators, because their drawings are, it cuts through a lot of the BS, and their drawings just have to look good with minimal details. I think that's much harder than just, let's take photo textures and just,
Yeah, I think a lot of the time getting a look right with less
war.
is very, it shows more skill.
Yeah, it does show more skill. I'm always impressed with like Glenn Keane and artists like that, because it's like, few lines and their drawing reads really well, or whatever design they're trying to get across, it reads very well. Because it's very easy to just add details. Like, this is a bad example. Think about the Ninja Turtles movie. That's just adding details. Like, literally just, oh yeah, let's just add more stuff on them. They don't look right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
the
the
Michael
Mi-
Bay
the Mi-
one.
The Michael Bay one, yeah. Because I don't understand, because Bebop and Rocksteady look amazing. It's like they did it right and it looks so good. And then you look at the turtles, like, what happened? Even I think Crane looked really cool, and his robot, it made sense to look like that. But then the Ninja Turtles, it looks like they rolled around in garbage, and then it's just whatever stuck. Just, yeah, I'm wearing that.
Yeah, I feel like they got like way more versions of the turtles, and they probably just got the one concept for the enemies and stuff, like for the bad guys. I reckon they just kept on trying to push it with the turtles, trying to make them more people-like, and it got too creepy.
Yeah, it got creepy. And also, if you guys look at the size of the turtles, I think that's ridiculous, because they're like the size of a Sasquatch. They're freaking huge. When when you're that big, you don't need to know kung fu or karate or ninja tricks. You just like hack at people and just like, you know, 'cause they're you know, I think in the movie when someone like shoots Raphael and then just bounces off his shell, and then I saw them standing next to him, and I saw like April standing next to him. They're freaking huge. I'm like, dude, you don't need to know karate. You can just like swat the dude, and he'll go flying.
Yeah, and they're literally indestructible, so they could just stand there and wait for the guy to tire themselves out. Like, it's crazy.
Pretty much. I mean, Raphael gets hit by an airplane in the second movie. I don't know if you saw it, but you know he jumps off a building and lands. So that doesn't kill him. So you're like, okay, well these guys are like hella strong.
Yeah, he like Michael Bay probably kept like all that stuff from Transformers was probably still on that like that high. He's just like everything has to be big and super strong and like indestructible.
I mean, I don't know. I think this is my honest opinion. I think if China didn't give Michael Bay money, those movies would never have been made.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I think I heard something about that. I hope it's good. I mean, uh, I watched the new Ninja Turtles cartoon. Well, I didn't watch it. I saw a summary of it. I had to because one of our teachers worked on it, and you know he directed it, so I wanted to check it out. Even though Raphael's the leader in this one.
Is that the one where they've all got like different weapons and stuff?
I think they all have the same. Yeah. Raphael has. He doesn't have a knife anymore. The size anymore. He has the tonfa, which is this thing. It's like a club.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I remember seeing like the trailer for that. That looked really cool. They're all like really different shapes as well, aren't they? Like
Yeah, they're like different turtles, I think. But then I don't know. I opened up to it. The only thing I was wondering was like because America's like yeah, we need to be woke. April needs to be. She could be African American and black and this and then
yeah.
it's like, but just made me think it doesn't have to be April. You could just introduce a new character.
You know what I keep noticing? I keep noticing that all the characters that they make black were originally like gingers. And as someone that's kind of ginger, I'm not okay with that. Like they just keep taking all our ginger people and changing them. Like, yeah, it's all good to get like diversity, but stop taking away the ginger people. We want we want ours as well, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. My country is weird with stuff like that. It's just, so why can't it's like the Magnificent Seven had to have a Korean guy in there, and I'm like, what the hell, dude? It's like I'm Korean. I'm thinking it's a cowboy movie. Why is there an Asian guy in this movie? I was like, he's not even the right kind of Asian. He should be Chinese because at that time they have railroad guys, and stuff like this, and it makes sense. But this random Korean dude. So yeah, I don't know. It's just they try to diversify. I don't think it's a problem. It's not like we're gonna complain like, hey, there's not enough Asian people in this movie about cowboys or whatever. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, man. It's a bit odd. And
yeah, and then go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if Seth Rogen's making it, it might be pretty good because like he did a pretty good job with Invincible. That was some pretty solid stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Seth Rogen would be a fan.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Of Ninja Turtles. So it's different when a fan makes the yeah. So I think we can have some high hopes for that. I think it's an independent studio. It originally started as a Kickstarter, but someone made a Ninja Turtle beat 'em up. It's not out yet. It's got more funding. I forget what it's called, but man, when I first saw it, I thought, why couldn't like a big AAA studio make this?
Yeah, it's been ages since we've had a good TMNT game. I reckon like the last good one was like PS2, and it was probably only good because I'm the only one that liked it probably. Like I loved that game, but it was pretty trash, I reckon.
Yeah, because Turtles in Time was really good. It's a beat 'em up. You just need good animation, and it's beat 'em ups are they're not very difficult. I feel like to make. Just have a variety of enemies, and especially like now with all the technology that we have. But yeah, like it takes a fan to make a game like that, and it looks really good. So
Wait, is Turtles in Time the new fan made one that you were talking about?
no, that's like the old one.
Oh,
That
that's
was
like the old one, right? Yeah. I'm googling it now.
yeah, that's really good. And then the new there's a lot of nods to Street Fighter as well.
Well, that's good. That's good stuff. Got to
Yeah,
pay,
but
got to
anyway.
pay homage to the originals.
So stage one, stage two, careful of your center line. Make sure you blend your shapes. So don't worry about the arms. Don't worry about the legs. Just try to get 1 and 2 working. Another reason why I really want you guys to get comfortable with this is because if you can figure out what the head is doing, someone says like, if you figure out what the thing before is doing, you can figure out what the limb or the part after, you can see what it's supposed to do. Head's twisting this way, head's going this way, the body needs to counterbalance and go this way. There needs to be something to counterbalance that, so there'll be the leg going this way. It also makes it easier to draw out of your head because you'll be thinking like, okay, well, the body's, the head's leaning over in this direction, so, body will follow. And then you figure out stage two, oh, well, one of the hips is higher, so it's letting me know that, hey, there's more weight on it, or this one's kicking the leg out, or he's standing on something. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So really spend a lot of time on stage one and stage two. So here he's tilting his head back. Flow the neck into the face. Into the head, not the face. There's a twist. Drop one circle down. And the neck is somewhere here. Find the other side of the neck. Add that Dorito chip. Do a lot of you guys draw for yourself right now, or just design for fun? Is anybody doing that? Like just creating characters or these little doodles just for yourself? Okay, cool. Yeah, try applying all this stuff right away. I think that'll help. Because I think one of the issues is it's hard to get out of like figure drawing. The ideas that you learn in figure drawing and studying, they need to become one with how you normally draw. I think that's why we run into issues where some students or some artists have a hard time differentiating a study like from studies and doing like creating their own art because they've been studying for so long. Yeah, so like it's good that you're doing that, but try to apply everything that you learn, even in your other classes right away. So you can find a practical use for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and doing it in the fun time also helps cement it. It definitely does.
Because there's a student I have right now. He's really good, like technically, because he's just been focusing solely on, he's just been studying. So when it came time to like designing his own characters, he's having a lot of trouble.
Well, like
His brain is. Oh, go ahead.
like he's killed his imagination with all the study.
It's not killed his imagination. He's just afraid. His brain is in study mode. It's not in like have fun sketch mode. You know, it's
Oh,
like,
right. It's just like all analysis sort of thing. That sort of thing.
yeah, yeah.
I must admit, I've gotten
Oh,
a bit
well,
like that
no,
now. It's so rough. After honors, I've been like just practicing and practicing, and I haven't got down to do any like personal stuff for a while. So I get that guy.
It's not. It's
real.
not. Yeah, you got. Yeah, you gotta work on your own stuff as well. It's you gotta find that balance.
Yeah, because you kind of I think you lose the fun a little bit if you don't do any of your own stuff, and I think that burns you out a bit more than anything else.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, unless if you're like, I don't know, you just like doing academic drawing, which is fine, but I think only doing academic drawing limits you.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
So, because I really think I've been on both ends of the spectrum. So I kind of went back and forth, and then I came full circle. It's like, oh yeah, I want to just sketch for myself. I want to draw to have fun, and I think that's. I can't only do studies, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason we all went into, well, I hope the reason we all went to study this is hoping to get a job that we actually enjoy. So you might as well have fun, like
Yeah.
learning the drawing.
So one thing I'm trying to fix right now is my center line and my rib cage were not aligned. So I'm just going back and fixing it. The reason why it's important that I do this is because I know if I were to continue this drawing, it will come back and bite me in the ass later, like hard. So I want to resolve it now. Like if I'm struggling with a drawing on something basic, or I'll spend a lot of time just making sure that something in the beginning, like at the start, I know. Sorry, I'm just gonna say it. I mean to say that I try to make sure that if I know that something is wrong and I can fix it in the beginning, I'll just hammer on it until it looks correct or I get it correct. Because if I don't, I know later on I'm gonna have to fix it, and there's gonna be this really bad domino effect. Yeah, for homework, I just want you guys to focus on stage 1 and stage 2. Spend all your time on that, 20 of them. And if you need to spend more time on just stage 1, then spend time on just stage 1, but at least draw down to the shoulders. Does that make sense? Because that's another thing we can't avoid. It's a lot of basic stuff. Like for right now, I mean, right now I'm trying to My friend made me feel like crap, but it's all right. Got the fire going. I want to learn how to do planche push-ups. And when I told my friend I wanted to learn how to do that, he said, "You don't know how to do that already?" Like, what? It's like, you can do a flag, you can do levers, and you can do, you can't do a planche. I'm like, no, I can't. And then, but going back to baby steps again. So it is frustrating, but it's rewarding. So it's like, it's the same thing. I know it's frustrating, but you just got to take the steps back, and then the amount that you can improve, it's worth it.
I just had to check out what a planche push-up is. That's crazy,
Oh,
man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because I didn't know about because I can hold, but I can't drop my legs, to that level. I can hold it at about 45 degrees to about 90 degrees, but I have no control. So my friend was saying, yeah, it's because your shoulders don't know how to stabilize. So he gave me a bunch of drills, and it's like doing baby steps again. And why am I doing this? I don't know.
Because it's going to be really impressive when you can do it. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always been like that. It's like in the beginning, you're like, I just want to get this. If I can just understand this, and then you'll get it, and you're like, oh, cool. Now I want to try to understand this. Once you get there, it's just you constantly keep trying to evolve. And that's what keeps it interesting. That's why, I can totally understand why people are considered masters after they die. It's hard to say that I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, unless you're like Steve, I call them living masters, but most of the time it's like you're still learning.
Yeah, yeah. And even the people that you would call masters, they'd probably still say, oh, yeah, no, I'm still learning. Because it's all just
I'm
about
still
the
learning.
learning.
Yeah. Basically, my advice to you guys is live as long as you can. Take care of your health, live longer, because then you'll get better. It'll
Yeah.
correlate to how good you can get. And take care of your arms and your wrist.
And your back. Make sure you take care of your
And
back.
Yeah. So yeah, just make sure, everything flows together. Stage 1, stage 2. And pay attention to proportions. I know everybody is different, but we need to have like a base ruler. Does that make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I think I can do one more crit, and I'll show you guys like a shape painting. I'll show you what we did yesterday. It was fun. So yesterday's class. But yeah, so this is our we're just doing shape painting. This is how we use Eric. If we can understand Eric, we can draw Eric in, these are 3 different styles of this, I don't know, whatever character. Does that make sense? All I'm doing is taking Eric's head and the connections I know about Eric, and then just modifying them.
Yeah, man, that's so cool.
So here, once again, just like a back view, about how everything connects together. That's what the big overall shape is for. you might find a way that works well for you maybe later on, but I'd recommend this one because I tried Vilpu's way, where, like where there's a lot of lines, and I really didn't like that method because it didn't help me with painting. I wanted to kind of find a way to draw where I can merge everything together. So our paint, because I forget, there's so many artists who've said it. I don't, maybe, I think even maybe Sargent said it, where it's like painting is drawing, drawing is painting. They're the same. When I did it in, that kind of drawing where it's like, Mike Matizzi, The Force,
Yep.
that kind of drawing, makes it really hard to paint, like to understand painting, like that kind of drawing or that way of drawing makes it very difficult to paint. And then Vilpu's kind of along that line, it makes it hard to paint. Whereas if I look at illustrators or more like the Riley method, it makes more sense because, especially when you jump into painting, because they're highly shape-based. And with painting, it's different than using lines in a way, because it's kind of hard to explain. But the cool thing about painting, though, is that painting is construction. I don't know if that makes sense. If you construct with paint, it looks much better than if you construct with line. It looks more natural because you're not constructing with line, you're constructing with tone. And tone is how values, and tone is how we actually see things in the real world. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I reckon those people that do the squiggly drawing sort of stuff, I reckon they probably just can do the construction work in their head, and I reckon that's how they do it. They just already yeah.
They do it, but like I said, if you look at Vilpu's paintings, and if you look at Steve's paintings, they're very different. Like Steve has more depth. He knows, I think Steve has, one of the big things that drew me to Steve's work is Steve understands graphic design. So if I see a painting by Steve that's this small, or a drawing by Steve that's this small, it still looks really good and it reads very well. Same thing with, that's what really attracted me to the illustrators, like the illustrator style or that school of thought, because their thumbnails are really, even in their thumbnail, their drawings and paintings look solid.
Okay, yeah. How do you spell that artist that you're talking about, Voku? I just want to see it for myself.
Oh, Glenn. Shoot. Sorry, let me just go online. Yeah, there you go. I sometimes spell it Glenn, and sometimes I spell it Villpu. But yeah, it's different. They talk about the same thing, but when it comes to tone, I definitely would study with Steve or Mark or someone who paints. Plus, I think I told you guys this, but I don't think he liked me that much because I was from Associates at the time. Because I think him and Mark have a little bit of some history there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Even within the, I don't know. I've heard so many things. I don't know how true it is, but even at the Riley Method schools, like with Watts Academy, and I forget the other guy, Ron Lemon. I think they have beef, and a good friend of mine, he just didn't want to go to their school, both of their schools, because he's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. It's like,
damn, man.
like they're gonna hate on each other, and especially if they find, he does, like, I don't want to be in the middle if they find out that I studied with one or the other. I'm like, why do you care?
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, you guys are both technically teaching the same thing. You guys just word it differently, which I think is good. It's good to hear the same thing from somebody else, because really, they might say something slightly differently, and it might just hit. It might just all of a sudden it makes sense. It's the same information, just packaged slightly differently, and then all of a sudden it makes sense to you. So I think that that's cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of just it's just different flavors, isn't it? And I think it applies differently to different people. Like I didn't understand any of the other ones that I read about, but this kind of makes more sense to me. So I think I might just rip off your way of doing it.
Oh, thank you. It's the I keep joking with it, but I really mean it. I'm like a bastard version of everybody. I just like yesterday, someone asked, "What's your style?" You think because I draw in so many different styles. I said that my style is however I feel that day.
Yeah.
Like because I just like the act of drawing and painting, and I think it's good. I don't know what my strong style is. I mean, I've been told it's like Leyendecker, um, but I don't really think I have a clear style. I think I just draw however I want that day or for whatever project. That's my style.
And that's very cool. That's a very cool way of being able to work.
I think it's more fun. I mean, I hate like I think it's like exciting for you guys that are starting out and because I got a little bit jaded very early on with video game companies and movie companies because to me it was like too much of the same. But right now, because there's a lot of like smaller game companies and independent like movie companies and stuff, I think it's a lot more exciting because they're the ones that are probably willing to try something a little bit more creative, I should say, or just a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Like, because I thought about it. It's like, do I want to work on the next Assassin's Creed? No. When I was early on in my career, yes. Now it's like, no, I don't want to work on something like that. It looks. I don't think I would have that much fun on a project like that.
Yeah.
But something like, but I see, like Hollow Knight. I think that's really cool. Like something a little bit different. They're playing around. I don't know. Because I think I would be excited about the project. That's what I mean. I'll be excited about the project, which will then translate into, the artwork. If you're excited, then your artwork's gonna show it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with small studios like Team Cherry who made Hollow Knight, I think if you get in on that kind of project, you kind of get to lead it a bit more as well. Because Ari did it all by himself. So that's kind of like you get to dictate the style, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of games that I've seen more recently. I mean, AAA studio wise, I think the best ones right now, CD Projekt Red, I think they're done. I really think I don't know what the hell is going on over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're done.
Well, yeah, they've gone to like.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying. I think they've gone to like a phone game now, so I think that's kind of showing that they're on their way out.
Yeah, and like Riot, I'm not really sure, but I do know Riot's a big their big market is like Asia. So if like because game companies like China, game companies in China, there's a Riot in China as well. But if they start developing their own stuff, because I don't know if you guys saw Wukong, the monkey game for PS5.
Yeah.
Studio. So once studios like that, they're gonna be like, we don't, why do we play, League of Legends? Why do we play games like this? Because now they're gonna have even more competition. So I don't know. I don't know how long that'll last. And plus, I'm not really sure what other games Riot has. I know they have some stuff going on. My friend's been working on a secret FPS for a long time for them. On their secret team, so I've seen that, but it's an FPS. So I'm thinking, how innovative can it be? You know what I mean? FPS wise, I think it's really difficult for something like that. For MMORPGs, I think Asia is like the market for that. So it's an Asian company. I mean, it makes sense. if you think about it, microtransactions in Asia, if you charge, let's say like $2 for, I don't know, like extra coins or some random skin or something, and how many people are there in Asia? Like the one of my partners who was working on who wants to work on his own IP was thinking that, like, if you just market to China and India, the China and India alone, they have more people than the whole world.
Oh yeah.
And so he was saying, if you can just tap even 1% of that, it's like, dude, that's insane. But yeah, it's like the game market is like that. But anyway, I think it's exciting for you guys because the smaller studios. So there's like a lot of cool stuff going on. I mean, at the same time, because of that, there's also a lot of bad, like weird, crappy games as well. But I think that's just a inevitability. I think it's an exciting time right now.
Yeah. Like we got one of the guys that graduated last year. He's jumped off and started a small studio by himself, and he's working on a game with like a team of 5. That's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even like, Ghost of Tsushima is a really good game. For a lot of people, I feel like it was like left field. I mean, it's like a big Sucker Punch makes good games, but I don't think they were expecting it to be like this.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of they've always made really good games, but they haven't really been at the forefront, have they?
No. But yeah, like, man, kind of makes me regret moving away from Washington.
And as the tool like indie gamers gets better, the
Because Sucker Punch was like right there. I worked at shoot, it was THQ Studios, printing pads, and then I worked for Monolith for a while.
What'd you work on at Monolith?
Fear 2.
Ah, cool.
Wasn't very long, and then I moved over to Amaze, and I worked on their secret project for a while, and then I don't know whatever happened. I don't know if they ever released it or not, but I like their game philosophy, or their studio philosophy was, we will work on all the games nobody wants to work on. But that's not their main goal. The reason why they do that is because they know what those games like yeah, that'd be cool too, to work for like Insomniac Games. I don't, like I said, it just depends on the project, but Amaze's their philosophy was, you want us to work on not Lord of the Rings. Well, they did work on a Lord of the Rings game as well. Like Harry Potter for Nintendo DS. Yeah, we'll do it because that will make money. And
oh no, yeah, it makes money though.
Yeah, it makes money because parents they're gonna buy that for their kids, and so they use that funding to work on the stuff they actually want to work on.
And that works because I think that's how Rocksteady started off. They were making lots of less than great games, and then all of a sudden they got the gig for Arkham Asylum, and they shot off.
Yeah, so I like that, and plus because of that, they don't crunch.
Oh nah, couldn't imagine them crunching on a DS game or a Game Boy game.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, they don't really crunch, and so that was a good company, I think, to work for. I think they're still around. The other ones, I think they're all gone. THQ is the old THQ. I knew they were going downhill. I could tell.
Oh yeah, how so?
Because the choices in games that were, you can look at, when you work in the studio, you can see what kind of games they're working on, and then the top games at that like the top games was shoot, what was it? Oh yeah, the WWE and UFC games were like top. After we really, and then and there was a real-time strategy game. I forget what it was called. think it's World War II one. It was doing really well. But I was on the Destroy All Humans team, and I got to work on Saints Row 2 and stuff like that as well.
They
Those
both
are
would have been a
really-
lot of fun, man. Oh yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah, those are really cool, but the decisions that they were making were not very smart. It's like, so they're working on a Destroy All Humans game, but then they're working on two different versions, which didn't make sense. Because Wii was new at the time, so they wanted a whole new different game for the Wii, and the Xbox 360 and the PS3 were gonna get the the version that we were working on. But then because they're doing two different games, they have to split the budget, and people who like Destroy All Humans, like the fans, they were confused, like especially after E3, because they were wondering like is which Destroy All Humans is the third one, because there was Destroy All Humans Path to Furon, which is the next gen one, and then there was Destroy All Humans Big Willy Unleashed, which is the Wii version.
I mean, I'm guessing that one flopped, but the name of that is just so good.
It's good. They both flopped because
Oh yeah.
yeah. And I was on early production for Destroy All Humans 4, which I think would have been the best one. Like honestly, I'm not just saying that because it was 80s. So a lot of the references that we had access to or that we could play with was a lot more relatable to people, like RoboCop, Ninja Turtles, Terminator, Aliens. People understand those references. Like the references they were making in Destroy All Humans Path of the Furon were like hardcore, like Star Wars references that I don't think most people understand. So when we would go to the meetings and they're showing a bunch of cutscenes, you know, we're looking at the cutscenes and they're telling jokes, only our producer was laughing.
Oh no, that's not a good sign.
Yeah, and somebody had to explain the jokes to us. It's like, oh yeah, it's because Harrison Ford didn't actually want to be in the movies anymore, and this, and I was like, oh okay, that's cool. No, none of us knew that. But
Yeah, I didn't even realize they had that many of those games. I just remember the first one coming out.
Yeah, there was one, two. Yeah, there's three of them, and then I think they were working on a mobile game, and then at the time there was talks of some kind of like TV animation and everything. So I think they just tried to do too much with it.
Ah, yep.
And then right then, Red Faction 2 came out. Red Faction 2. And then I got a design packet in-house, and it was for Red Faction 4. And I was like, where's Red Faction 3? It's just Red Faction 4. Where's Red Faction 3?
It's getting
So,
ahead of
yeah,
themselves a bit.
Yeah, they're getting ahead of themselves quite a bit. I don't know. There was a bunch of random weird decisions being made. So I knew it wasn't going to do well after a certain point. It's not hard to tell. Plus they were shutting down studios left and right. So it's like, okay.
There's a cautionary tale right there, guys. Just don't bite off more than you can chew and don't get too ambitious.
No, you can get ambitious. It's just like, honestly, for all of you, have fun with the projects. Like, try not to get too attached to it. I mean, I'm not, maybe it sounds a little bit bad, but you'll actually have more fun that way.
Yeah, I guess it's
unless
more
it's
of a
like-
cautionary tale to studio owners, which is not exactly us yet.
Yeah, like, I'm sure you'll find a studio. Like, hopefully you guys will find a studio that you work for that you just love the environment. I mean, even if the environment sucks, at least for me, I've always been lucky with the people. People are always, the other artists are always awesome. So that's always a plus. But I really think like for right now for you guys, it's like really exciting time because there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah, man, we got heaps of stuff coming down here. It's great.
Yeah, so it's an exciting time. So let's see here. So that's like the main, going back to the homework, that's like the main thing I'm seeing over and over and over again. It's just stage 1 and stage 2, they're just not working. So just spend extra time, just focus on that. So this week's homework will be 20 of those. And let's see here. It's all right if your tablet broke. Yeah, just work traditionally. If you work traditionally, sharpen your pencil to a really sharp tip, or use a pencil with a really sharp tip so you can draw really thin. I'll quickly show you like a shape kind of drawing. The same thing here. Focus on stage 1 and stage 2. So let me switch my brushes. About an hour. So even if you're painting, stage 1 and stage 2 have to be clear. Even as a shape, they need to be complete. I guess I'll have to, Mark used to say, drawing is already hard. Like when he was just talking about tools, he said, don't make drawing even harder on yourself by, not having good tools or not having your tool prepared. That just means, it's just about sharpening your pencil. I probably add to that by saying, drawing's already hard. Don't skip the easy steps, like the stuff that you can actually manage very easily. Or we're just by doing that, we're making drawing even harder than it has to be. It's already hard. Right, so there's stage 1 and stage 2 already connected.
Is anybody feeling like they need a break, or should we just push on through till 9?
You guys need a break. I'll just keep painting.
Yeah, no, we're all good on this end. Just if anyone's watching online, I guess, yeah, you can just run to the loot.
Right, cool. So here's stage 1, and we're going to separate our light and our dark. That's something we'll talk about later in class. We're going to go over 2-value system. But no worries, we're not gonna. It's like I'm pretty sure the drawing's not going to progress to the point where. Anyway, so here's our back. It's a box. Here's the butt. Stage 1 is head, neck, and shoulders, and stage 2 is the torso. We need to make sure those are working. So if stage 1, head and the neck and the shoulders, they're not working, we don't move on to stage 2. Right, and then we can start. Make this darker. Let's do this faster. No, I guess I'll just have to make it darker. The idea is once we have a clear shape, it's easy to go in and modify it. Those are separation, light and dark. There's the um, what's the scapula on the other side, scapula on this side. This is a shape painting, by the way, where you don't really draw that much. The shoulders will probably fit in here. When you do this type of drawing, our confidence for drawing needs to be pretty high. And even if you're not ready, I recommend you guys just do this for fun on the side. Have you guys painted like this before? Or work like this where you don't really draw that much. You just draw, paint in a shape, and then you basically just start blocking in some smaller, medium, and smaller shapes.
I have for sure.
Give it a shot because this is usually how we do damage control.
It's also a fun way to just mix things up a bit every now and then.
Yeah, and like I said, this is really good for learning damage control. The more confident you are with damage control, I think it feels like nothing really bothers you. Damage control is just, your ability to, oh man, I screwed up. I can fix it.
I remember Peter Hahn talking about something similar. He was just talking about like the way he draws. It's not that he doesn't screw up. It's just he's really good at like covering up those things, which I guess is the same as rendering and like
Yeah,
doing damage control that way.
yeah. But we want to get to a point where we don't hide stuff. We want to get to that point. I don't know. For me, I'm very OCD, so it's like if I'm hiding something, it'll bother me at night. Oh man, it's like I did a bad demo. I told the students this, and then I totally didn't do it. You know, you know what I mean? It'll bother me at night, really. I can see like having to mask stuff if you're just doing something in one shot. You know what I mean? Like, oh crap, like, you know what I mean? It's one shot. I really don't have a choice, but when it's like this, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think my friend Frank Stockton has like the best quote for that. He said, "If you screw up a drawing, just draw a bunch of nice patterns around it, and all of a sudden your drawing looks better." Because if you look through his sketchbook, all his sketchbook drawings are amazing, or at least they appear amazing. He's like, oh, I screwed up. Using this method, so there's the you can see very quickly, once the shape reads, you can get it complex very quick. Maybe there'll be a cast shadow coming from the arm. He's a little bit darker. Just a bald head. There's the sacrum. A little column here. There's the Gluteus maximus casting a shadow. So these shapes are a little bit dirty, so I'll go back in and clean them up. I get darker here because the arm. Separation for the deltoid, shoulder muscle. We'll see there's a muscle here called the teres major. You can see a little bit of that. Oh, I forgot. This is what I want to say. You know, the thing that Peter Hahn said about I just
Yeah.
hide this. Yeah. Why I don't like that, at least for me, and why it keeps me up at night is because other artists will be able to see it.
Ah, yeah.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like somebody, like if you show your, you know, you messed up and then you show it to Kim Jong-gi or somebody, or, you know, somebody like Steve, they'll notice it.
Yeah, you're right there. Absolutely.
It's like, yeah. So I can't, that'll bother me. Like, unless I really messed up and I you know, if I know other artists can see it and be like, man, okay, that's off. You know, that'll really bother me. You know, it's like you know, like that Rob Liefeld Captain America drawing.
Oh, yeah. It's not really covered up though, is it? It's kind of right there for everyone to see.
Yeah, so it's like, no, all right, well. Unless you can develop an alias and so you can do the bad drawings and then, you know, no one will link it back to you.
Sounds like too much work. We just got to get really good at drawing instead.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is basically shape drawing or shape painting. I'll paint a head like I did yesterday. So if, let's say you're painting a character, it's the same thing. I don't know. One of the things I really recommend for you guys is just draw. You don't have an idea, just draw. Ideas sometimes, you know, we can't wait for ideas to come to us, especially like with concepting sometimes. You have to just start spitting stuff out. And then as you get the ball rolling, you'll get more and more ideas. Like I read in Norman Rockwell's How I Paint, Like he was just talking about like he doesn't have an idea. He says, "Oh, maybe I'll just draw like a lamppost." You know, and then he's like, "Oh, and there's a guy next to a lamppost." And then as he progresses, he idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because you're just thinking on paper. That's all it really is. I mean, or on canvas. So let's say for right now we're gonna draw a character. Let's say draw a character looking up. And to make it fun, let's say we're drawing something like TF2 style or something like that. Do you guys all know TF2?
Of course, man. Everybody got to know
Team
TF2.
Yeah, so Team Fortress, maybe something like that. So you have a character. That artist also likes the. Let's say we're designing a heavy type character. There's the shoulder. This character will be looking up. Just need to mark off where his chin is somewhere here. Darker. Okay, cool. Eyeline is here. There's the eyeballs. So I don't focus on anything small right now. I focus on the big overall read. Here's the bottom of the nose.
Hey Brian, can you hear me?
There's his mouth.
Is my mic working? Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, but I just wanted to ask him if there was a significant point when you could operate like without lines and kind
Side
of
point
like
of his
see
face.
with the values.
Hey, Brian, one of the students has got a question.
Cheekbone.
He was wondering if there was a specific point that you got to where you could just render without thinking about the lines. Is that right, Denzel?
Yeah, close enough. Or being able to like operate without the line work, or being like have to adhere to it, or being able to see without it.
Did you hear any of that, Brian?
Yeah. Honestly, it's doing a lot of stuff like this. And if you screw up, I used to go in and construct on top, like with a line, or if I'm painting traditionally, I would use the back of my brush while the paint was wet, and I'd go in and scrape in some of the planes. But it mostly came from just studying shapes, like painting like this. That's the only way. We study planes, and then we actually have to just start painting. It just takes time. Like
So-
I'm pretty sure you can paint a ball, right? Like out of your head, like the shapes out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. The more confident we get at being able to draw this, it's just more like, okay, well, I just need to draw a paint a shape like this, like for an eye.
So it's just
If I
being able to
paint
like
this
navigate the
shape, it
complexity.
will kind of look like an eye. So there's the eye socket. There's the pupil. Oops. Because the one thing that you'll learn from rendering with or drawing with shapes is that it's not a good shape. Sorry. Let me grab this. We actually don't see as much as we think. Like everything is pretty much just a shape. Like I know if you look through a lot of like books that go over the construction of the eye, they draw all the planes and it never looks right. Like if you do a drawing like that. And one thing we have to keep in mind, see all the planes of the eye. When you actually draw, we don't draw like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things you'll learn is that very quickly, the more you do this, is that we don't actually see as much as we think. To draw an eye, we just need two triangles and a circle. And then we want, let's say we want to, for two values, this is basically all we need for an eye. Does that make sense?
Does that answer your question, Denzel?
Yeah, yeah, it's helpful. Thank you.
He says thanks.
All right, cool. All right, so all I'm doing right now is separating my light and my darks. Cast a shadow. Eyeball is his pupil will probably be here. Actually, no, let's have him look down. He'll be looking down at us. Because he's a and I think the head is a little bit too long, so I'll just go in and change that. Get out my eraser. Eraser or background value. Going to key my value. Everything is just shapes right now. I need to know my darkest darks. Maybe it won't be so bright over there. Find my lightest lights. dark underneath the neck. I'm gonna do the thing I used to do because when I wanted to go home early at THQ is add the crazy rim light because the art director really likes sci-fi lighting. All I had to do was add a green bounce like the rim light, and he would love like the design.
I mean, I get that. I just love the rim lights when they're done
Yeah,
right.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what the thing is, as long as it has a rim light. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah, I like it. You've been hammering a design all day and it's not getting approved. Rim light.
Yeah, like Moby was talking about. Denzel was talking about Moby Frank, who's the guy that did the what's that game? The one you were talking about, Team Fortress 2 game, the concepts and stuff. And yeah, I looked it up straight away. There was like one of the characters with that nice, sexy bit of rim light on the end of it, on the side of his face, and like
Yeah,
I saw that when I was a kid, and I'm like, I remember that exact image, and it's just cause like the rim light looks so good.
yeah. It's rim light. Rim light hard highlights. The nose hack is just have a warm value and then add a hot highlight, and that's a nose. That's like the cop out if you don't know how to paint a nose.
Nice.
It's just add a a red. Just have to be careful that it's not, so you need to be careful about that. But the easy one is just add a highlight. It'll be light between his eye socket. Side of his nose. I want him to be maybe a little bit older. So I'll give him the little wrinkle. There you go. Just eyeball.
I think you had a question there, Brian, on the chat.
Chat's not. Sorry, there he goes. Sorry, I don't see the question. Can you?
Oh, right. The question is, they're wondering how much of an angle the nose is pointing up.
Pretty high. In this image, the nose, we're just seeing the bottom plane of the nose. We're not really seeing any of the top.
Yep, that answered the question.
All right, cool. So I don't like the eye socket shape, so I'll just change it right now. Tip of the nose. The cheek. There's the philtrum, or the upper lip. Yeah, we're just mostly seeing nostrils. And this will be the his masseter muscle coming down. This is his jaw. And there's his nostril on this side. There's his head.
Hey, Brian,
Mhm.
did you ever find those Asara heads useful, or have you ever studied off of one of those Asara heads?
Yeah. We painted them all the time at school.
All right, cool. Just wondering.
Yeah, John Asaro, I really wanted to study with him. I just didn't have a chance. He was one of Steve Houston's teachers, and he's a contemporary of Marx, which is cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and John Asaro, he made that head for, I think originally at Art Center for teaching the students how to paint a head.
Damn, what a small world.
Yeah, and we had so you know, in the prop room, there's like tons of those heads.
Yeah, nice. So all you students that got those prints from Aaron, you should cherish them. We had a student that came through with me, so he graduated last year, printed off like a ton of them and gave a bunch of them away.
Oh, he has them?
Well, yeah, he did. All the other students have
He
them
did
now.
Yeah, it's a nice head. It's a nice breakdown. Problem is, I don't know what kind of eye style I want this character to have, and I don't want his eye sockets to be so deep. I'll decide soon. Only have like 10 minutes, I think. Yesterday's painting I started a little bit earlier. Bottom lip.
I mean, it's looking good so far. Yeah, you got like 18 minutes left.
2 minutes. All right. If I get a face going.
Yeah. 18. Yeah, 18 minutes. So, you got some time.
So I think here. Yeah, I'll give him this type of eye then. His socket gets a little bit deep at the top, and he has his eyebrows. Cool. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, you cut out for a sec, but you're back now.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the heck happened there. He's looking over.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but we haven't fully lost here so far tonight, so we've done pretty well.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. Yeah, good job, Flynn, Flo, and
Good job, your VPNs, if anything.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, Emily, the homework is just to focus on step 1 and 2. So you work on the head down to the neck, and then the rest of the torso.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the arms and shoulders and all that right now. Just kind of taking a step back.
Oh, your screen's gone again. We can see you, but not the screen.
Cool. There it goes.
Oh, yep, there you go. Cool.
And then let's give him a nice beard. The beard has a shape. There's his frontal lobe. He has a wide keystone.
Means he's probably like really tall with those wide set eyes.
Damn it, we shouldn't have said anything. No, I just did. I just made the keystone wider. I was thinking he'd have like smaller eyes, and eyes are a little bit further apart. I was just thinking that. There's a highlight on the nose.
Yeah, it just means he's real tall, man. It's 100% a thing, Emily. 100% a thing.
There's his beard coming down into his neck.
You've heard about that, yeah, Brian? That's true, isn't it? Like
What?
people with wide set eyes are usually quite a bit taller. I always heard that. I feel like it's true. I hope it's true, or I'm lying.
I don't know, man. Everybody's tall to me. I'm like 5'4" or something. So.
Well, if it's anything to go off, I'm 6 foot, and my younger brother has very wide set eyes, and he's like 6'2" now, so he's really tall,
Oh,
or at least really tall to me. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's not enough to have. That's not enough evidence. That's one guy, but he's pretty tall, and his eyes are pretty far apart.
bit far apart.
Yeah.
I don't know if your eyes are far apart, doesn't it make you look like a fish a little bit? I know it does make you look a little bit more animalistic, I think, because animals have eyes further apart.
He absolutely looks like a fish. You're totally right. Hmm.
Man,
He was always really uncoordinated. So that had me convinced that he was going to be really tall. And now he's taller. He's not quite so uncoordinated. Still a little bit, but not bad.
I don't know. One thing I do notice is, kids that are going to grow tall. It's like looking at a puppy. Like if you look at, do you guys know what a miniature pincher is?
No, but I can Google it.
And miniature pinchers look like Dobermans, but smaller. If you look at a miniature pincher puppy, because a lot of people think, oh, if you look at a miniature pincher puppy, it should look like a Doberman puppy. It doesn't.
Oh yeah, there you go. I can see it.
Because if you look at a Doberman puppy, miniature pinchers don't get that big, right? If you look at a Doberman puppy, if you look at their paws are huge. Because basically what happens is the dog will grow into their paw size.
I think that goes for people too as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, so usually kids, who are gonna be really tall. If you look at, even if they're like the same height together, like all of a sudden you look at their limbs are long, or their hands are not the right size. Yeah, they just look a little bit wacky looking until they get a little bit older. Then everything kind of fits together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's cool.
Yeah. Unless you get the surgery. I think there's a way to make your legs longer, but it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's gonna mess up my legs, man.
Who wants longer legs, man? That's a bit weird. Oh, I guess models probably would. Hey,
Maybe.
still, that's kind of weird.
I don't know. I like my stubby little legs. They help me squat a lot.
Yeah, that's the right attitude. Yeah.
As in-
And I'm okay having fairly long legs. I don't mind it. It was really helpful when I was doing hurdles when I was in high school. Just practically
Yeah.
stepped over them. That was great.
Nice. I think this guy has too much value right now, but I'm just trying to figure out his outfit here. Maybe he has oh, I know it. I can give him a collar. He's like a bodyguard. Which means I have to change the rim light. It's too bright.
I can
cool
definitely
thing
imagine
about-
this guy being a bouncer.
Yeah, if you paint straight with shapes, the cool thing is at any moment you can just start making changes. That's like the fun thing about painting with shapes.
Yeah.
So, oh, and then he has, that's why Gary Meyer, I used to love watching him paint and do his demos because, I think I mentioned his name before where he's like Bob Ross, but violent. Like the stuff he
Yeah, I
paints is
remember him.
really- Yeah, so he was just painting the ocean and then he'd be like, oh yeah, and there's a fire. The boats are on fire. And this is how you paint the reflections of fire in the water. It's in there, whatever. I forget which ear it goes in. Let's have a quick bounce light so we can get the nostrils to read. Nice. Yeah, he's not sorry. I got money. So yeah, this is the shape painting. Basically, the more you paint, the further I get, I'll get smaller and smaller with my shapes. You can see I paint fairly zoomed out. The reason why I do this is the same reason when I draw, I don't draw any details. It's because if I use a big brush, if I'm not able to paint the detail with the brush size I'm using, then I know it's not important. It's to prevent me from going in and start rendering and noodling right away. Because once the overall shape and everything's working, I can go in with a smaller brush and I can get more and more specific. Let's open his mouth just a little bit. So here's the bottom plane of his what this textures of his beard to read. And then this is jaw shape. He has a cigarette. The cigarette will cast a shadow. I gotta paint that in. Anyway, does that make sense? This is a painting with just straight shapes.
Yeah, man, this is really cool. Kind of makes like I think I'm gonna do some tomorrow. This looks like fun. I
Yeah.
haven't done it in ages.
It's a lot of fun. Just give it a shot. It's really fun. It'll give you a different perspective because if the information we give previous doesn't work, then it shows right away. Because we can't move forward. It's like I don't know how to do this part or this part. It's because something earlier wasn't resolved. I think right now, working with you can try this traditionally. Traditionally, maybe it's a little bit more difficult because I mean it depends how familiar are you with the medium. It depends. Like if you're really familiar with the medium, this is not that hard because you can push the paint around. If you're doing this with pencil, you're going to need to use your eraser a lot. Because when you work with an eraser, you're going to be doing, with a pencil. It's possible you've seen drawings where it looks like a bunch of cross hatching. That's how they start, and then they start like let me do it real quick. So if they like draw an eye. Crosshatch a bunch of shapes. Just requires a little bit more control to do it this way. This is another way of doing it. I have to use an eraser to do that. And then let's see here. Oh, if you want to draw some eyelashes, you just take your pencil and add a few dots. And if you want to add the eye flaps. So like I said, there's no real drawing in the beginning. You start scribbling a shape. Maybe you want to draw an eye flap or something. Does that make sense? I mean, that's how you do it with the pencil.
Yeah, man.
And then you'll have to use a eraser. Like if this is like your face shape or something. You have to cut the shape back, go back in and clean up the shape with the eraser. Whatever that's going to be. It's like an elbow or whatever.
I feel like it'd be a really like time consuming way to do it.
It could be it's a time consuming way, but it's also I don't know, it can actually be faster in a way. It just depends.
Yeah, I suppose if you practice it a bunch, you could probably get it done pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's not, plus this is good for, like I said, if you're concepting and you need to change stuff on the fly, it's not a big deal for you. It's like, oh, whatever. I think I can, like, oh, this person needs to have a wider back. Okay, I can just start over, make the back bigger. Wait, what? If you're having trouble with the deltoid, it really will come back down to 1 and 2, because if we get good at getting the head, neck, and shoulders, because the shoulders are the start of your deltoid. Does that make sense? So it always comes back to something really basic. I mean, you can always draw an arm independently by itself, and usually it's easier, honestly, to just draw an arm by itself, just independently. It's connecting it back to the body that's hard and making it look natural. That's why, if possible, I recommend, let's say you're studying a leg, I wouldn't just draw a leg. I'll try to connect the leg to the hip. So at least I'm always aware of how to connect the leg back. Because you can draw like a mean looking elbow or a mean looking knee. It's not hard, but once again, it's putting that part back, having that part work with the whole. That's the hard part. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And if you're struggling to remember how Brian did it, you can always check on the on Collaborate. We've got the recordings and stuff, so you could just watch that session again, if that helps.
Yeah, don't worry about lumpy arms and all that right now. I recommend, we'll go over simplified arm muscles. Just make sure when you draw any limb, this is before you start breaking the rules. Like once you know how to do this very comfortably, then you can start breaking rules, doing concave shapes and stuff like that. But once we can get comfortable with just drawing, just average width and making that look nice. Arm's too long here. This. This is more important because you can always go in and later. There's progressions of this. You can always do that later. And then later you can even start stylizing this even more. Once we get the hang of it. Where it's like, it's more simple. Or whatever style you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, sweet as. All right, I think we're gonna call it there. Oh, unless you wanted to say something else.
No, that's it. Yeah, flipping a coin. Anyway.
All right, sweet as. Yeah, I figured I'd end it here. I figured you were gonna keep drawing until until I said
Yeah,
when.
well, yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool. I have we have a class in 20 minutes. Oh shit. Okay. I better get ready
Okay.
for that too.
Well, go get something to eat or something. Go have a rest. Thanks, man.
Right.
See you next
All
time.
right, man. So good job, everyone, and I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Have a good one, man.